Hi, I'm David,
Hi, I'm Cory.
and welcome to the Lonesome Sunday podcast. This is a new podcast that we're doing, and it's going to be in conjunction with our YouTube channel.
So, welcome to episode 1 of the podcast.
Absolutely. This is going to be just a little bit something different. We want the direction of this podcast, instead of being our normal movie reviews that we do on YouTube, this is going to be more like something you can listen to in the car, something a little bit more conversational.
Yep.
This is going to be more of those broad topic things.
These are going to be more things like, oh, I have a list of movies that I want to talk to David about, or David has a list of movies he wants to talk to me about, and things like various topics. For example, today's topic is
movies that we hate that everybody loves.
So, yep, we're just going to go ahead and draw the line for all of our audience members. All 2 of you.
Yeah. Or whoever subscribes to this podcast.
Yeah. We're happy to have you if you're here.
But yeah, one of the first movies that I wanted to talk to Cory about was actually 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay.
This one's kind of... It is a masterpiece. Let's not deny what it is. It is a masterpiece movie. It is got one of the most memorable soundtracks that have ever been made. To an extent, even like the University of South Carolina has it like as a piece of tradition in their football program. The marching band plays like pieces of that soundtrack before every game.
Thus spoke Zarathustra.
Exactly.
So,
but yeah, it's just though a grind to get through.
oh yeah, I agree entirely. The 2001 is a great movie in every kind of aspect, technically and acting wise. Some of the writing's really great, but there's a strong but in that movie. I cannot get through it in like one sitting. It is almost too slow for me to get through. And it's atmospheric. It's like a magical movie. Like, it's technically amazing in every aspect.
It's thought-provoking, too.
Yeah.
Like, the beginning of that movie is very thought-provoking.
The end of the movie is thought-provoking.
The whole thing
Star
is.
Child. It's so hard to get through. It's...
I'm not going to say the movie insists upon itself or anything like that, but it's that conflict sometimes where you're trying to watch... It's why something like the Marvel movie universe is so highly watchable, but no one's ever going to call it a piece of art. But 2001: A Space Odyssey, everyone will call it a piece of art, but it's not easy to watch. It's not something that you can just get through.
There are some movies that are intentionally hard to watch, but this one I don't think is intentionally hard.
Yeah,
one might almost say pretentious levels of art.
you could make an argument for that. Yeah, pretentiousness is...
It is Kubrick.
It is Kubrick, and he's just a bit on that side. And, you know, he's got some other things that we love, though. And I
love Kubrick. Kubrick's one of my favorite directors.
We've talked about this. Kubrick's like your classical guy that you love. Mine's John Huston. Those are 2 directors from the classic era in cinema that just you really love. He's got Dr. Strangelove, which is a fantastic film.
He has Spartacus.
He has Full Metal Jacket.
The Shining.
Oh my gosh. You just want to talk about a fantastic director.
Yeah.
But this one is like... I'm trying to think of a director who's made one film that was like critics love but audiences hated kind of thing.
Anything that A24 puts out.
Fair enough. But that's exactly what this is to Kubrick. It's just a little bit like, I made this for the sake of art almost. And I don't know if that was his intention or not. I haven't done enough research on the movie to give you a clear answer on that.
That's one I need to go a little bit more in depth. That's one I probably want to watch with like a filmmaker commentary, not a director commentary, but like a film historian commentary.
This is one of those movies, just in the same vein that you were talking about. To get through it, I think you want to do almost the reverse effect of what we've talked about when we used to watch movies on cable. Like I introduced Apocalypse Now to a buddy of mine when we were watching it, and I love Apocalypse Now. It's a great film. But when we watched it, we were watching it on AMC, and the commercial breaks kept slowing down the pace of the movie, and that is a long movie to get through.
Yeah.
But I think with 2001, this works in reverse to where you don't want to watch it all in one sitting. You might want to break it up a little bit so you have time to recharge your batteries, get back into like just a little bit of mode to where you're going, okay, I can get back into this. I got my refill of popcorn and soda here, so I can get through this thing.
Yeah. Well, it's just a tough movie. But let's move on from that one now that we've had everyone hating us who likes any form of cinema. The top of my list of movies that everyone loves that I cannot stand is It's a Wonderful Life.
See, now this I disagree with you on, but I want to hear what you have to say.
I can't stand this movie. It is a gorgeous movie. It is well made. Everyone loves it. It's an annual Christmas thing. I cannot stand it. It is so to me. If you go into the movie with the idea that the whole thing's going to be about him choosing whether or not he lives or dies, and whether or not the world would be better off without him, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's the idea of the movie.
Yeah, that is the idea.
So the first hour and a half of the movie is the entire backstory of this one guy's life, which you need for that part of the movie. But at some point, you're like, oh my god, just Uncle, what's his face? I can't think of his name.
It's not dawning on me right now.
Yeah, no, but the uncle who messes everything up. Everything is his fault for the course of the movie. Why is he not the one who's trying to kill himself? Well, George Banks is one of the most popular men in town.
Yeah. Okay. So George Banks. Okay. So to counteract your point here, if you read the play Claiborne Park, that is a play that is broken up in two segments of time, telling a story about a place. Okay. I think this works in a similar vein to that, though, is because you do need that whole backstory in order to get to the modern, I'm saying modern, 1940, where this story is taking place, where George is thinking about committing suicide. But I think you need that because you have an Act 1, Act 2 story.
What a charming plot for a Christmas movie. I'm gonna go commit suicide and leave my 6 kids and wife alone.
Okay. Not every Christmas movie, and not every Christmas movie needs to be like, not necessarily like, child or, like Keith family. It can be something that you watch with your kids at a later time in life, because this is
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying I don't like this movie
because this isn't your idea of Christmas.
Well, it's not that it's not my idea of Christmas. Like the whole end of the movie where everything comes together, there's family, and the whole town rallies around this person to help him is a wonderful part of any movie ever made. It's wholesome and wonderful, and it captures the spirit of Christmas. That said, the entire rest of the movie just has nothing to do with Christmas. Like, you're watching this movie waiting for something Christmassy, and then Christmas comes and a man's gonna commit suicide.
I understand your incredibly dark approach to It's a Wonderful Life. I concede to you your
You want point. The moon?
Yeah, I'll give you the moon. Yeah, I will concede to you your point. I understand your point of view. I openly disagree. I'm going to sit on the side of the people who enjoy this film, unlike you and your bah humbug ways over there. I'm going to counterbalance you on that, and I'm going to stand on the side of the other people listening on the side of this podcast right now. Which brings me
fair.
Now, we've never talked about this movie I'm about to bring up. I'm not even sure if you've seen it. I imagine you've seen it because I literally every time I bring up a movie, you say you've seen it, except for like 1 or 2, and they're normally sports movies. Yep. But one that I can't stand that gets a very high rating on IMDb is actually Gone Girl.
I have not watched it yet.
You have not watched it yet?
I have it. I've been wanting to watch it. I love Fincher.
You love Fincher.
I love Fincher.
This movie, I watched it once, and I never want to watch it again.
That's how I've heard people feel about this movie.
Yeah.
If anything, just because I've from what I've heard, some of the subject matter is very, very tense and uncomfortable, and it's just a slog to kind of get for it.
It's a grind of a mystery that's not really a mystery.
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck does, I'm going to say Ben does a decent job acting.
Yeah.
You know, and Tyler Perry's in this movie, if I remember right. It's been years since I watched it.
I think he's in it. It says Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris is in it as the wife's, or as the cheating wife's lover, you know, the one who wants to kill everybody thing.
Yeah.
And there's just so much publicity behind this story, and when I say the publicity, I'm talking about like in the plot.
In the movie.
Yeah, it's I don't want to ruin it for you, but
Thank you.
like the twist in this thing ticked me off to an extent that I never want to see this movie again.
So what you're saying is this movie was effective.
Yes, this movie was effective. But it's just one of those things that, like, I never want to watch again because, like, just because, like, I normally don't like the ending doesn't necessarily mean that I don't like the film.
Yes.
This one was just, like, I almost felt like I watched an entire hour and 30 minutes or however long this movie was.
Like 210.
For nothing, like, is how the twist kind of came off to me, is that there was no real payoff in the end after the climax and after everything that, like, this woman has put Ben Affleck through and the craziness that this woman has done, and just how strange it is. And I don't know, to me, like, there was just, the ending didn't add any any satisfying conclusion to me as a viewer, to where I went, why did I watch this? Like, yeah, you know, that's really how I came off. It's just like, So I will let you watch that one. We won't talk about that one any further.
We won't go further in depth. Thank you.
Yeah, I will let you watch it because this is something you want to see.
Yeah, that's one of those. I do absolutely love Fincher. I've not seen a movie that he's done that I've hated. That said, I still haven't watched Alien 3.
I will say a couple of things about this Gone Girl as some positive notes.
Yeah.
Just to kind of build off on Fincher, you know, because he's good.
Yeah.
What you can take away from this is the fact that it is shot beautifully.
Yeah.
It's very crisp. It's very clean looking. And
find a Fincher movie that isn't.
Yeah, and then you find the color in it, and it fits for the story that he's telling. It's kind of got like a mute gray tone to it almost.
That's Fincher.
Yeah. But it's not like, you know, like Superman or any.
It's girl with the dragon tattoo.
Exactly. Yeah. It's in
Fincher.
that you can feel that color, you can feel the presence. Everything is used to effect in there. So there is a good director's vision in there. I think the story and just going through that of watching the story, that's what makes me hate this movie, is that I'm sitting there going, why did I watch this movie? What is the point of me watching this movie? That's me. I am eager to hear what you have to say about it later.
Later when I get a chance
to watch it. Yeah.
So, next up on my list is something that you'll probably rail me for, because a lot of people so many people love this. It's two movies that are kind of combined together. Kill Bill, Volumes 1 and 2.
I have loved Tarantino. This is interesting because we've just flipped the book.
I love Tarantino. You know how much I love Tarantino.
I love Tarantino, but I have not seen the Kill Bill movies.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's actually something I haven't seen. So we just literally flipped the script on each other
Hooray.
here.
Okay, so I will loan you the Kill Bill movies because I have them because they were $5 a piece. Why not? They are wonderfully made schlock.
Wonderfully made. Okay.
It's Tarantino doing his action movie, kung fu movie, all in one, with all the blood, the guts. It's a revenge story of a woman who is wronged and her child ripped from her, so she's hunting down everyone who wronged her to get her child back.
Okay.
And it's cut up over two movies because it's 6 hours long.
So it's one of those type of films where you had to break it up kind of thing. Okay.
After the second part came out, they did like a limited run where you could see the whole thing in order, like part 1 and 2, one ticket in theaters for a little bit, and it didn't do very well because it's literally like 5 hours long, I think.
I can see how that could be a tough thing to go through, and I feel like that should be like a Fathom event kind of thing, to where
definitely.
where you got to get the movie nerds, guys like me and you, to go through. It's like, hey,
have an intermission
in there, like an all-nighter kind of thing. Like, we're gonna start this at 11 o'clock p.m. and I hope you brought your pajamas, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's just tough for me to get through. Like, it's not a bad watch. Like, watching it, you're just like, yeah, no, go do it. And it's just action filled. It's gorgeously shot. There are some wonderful sequences throughout the whole movie where it's like great action scenes of like. You've surely seen the Shadow.
Yeah,
fight.
I've seen.
Just from clips.
Yeah, about to say, I've seen a couple of clips. I've seen the trailer naturally.
Yeah. So you've seen some of the beautiful cinematography of the movie.
I was about to say, I was actually going to make a comment on the color in that.
The color is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's one of the things that stand out over time. I haven't seen probably the trailer to this movie in years, but the yellow and the red is just still very prominent in my mind.
Yeah, there's some scenes that are blue and red as well that are also gorgeous, but it as a movie, I cannot stand it. Just because even though there's this wonderful revenge story, I'm never on her side personally. Like, I get it. She went through some hell. Like, and it shows you in depth how much hell she goes through. But at the same time, I'm over here just going, okay, so now she's killing 40 people in this room. Hooray! And the amount of plot does not lend itself to 5 hours, in my opinion.
So, if you were to, if you were to take Tarantino's reins in here, what do you think an appropriate time length on this movie should have been?
Well, that would be tough, because there's so many different, it's kind of divided up into chapters and chunks, where it's like, chapter 1 is, we're going after this person. Chapter 2, we're going after Lucy Liu. Chapter 3, we're going after so-and-so. So with each section, you have to get to know who she's fighting and like what this one person did for her to seek revenge.
Huh. So it almost sounds like, just the way that you're describing to me, maybe this should have been brought down to like an HBO miniseries.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah. Okay. So it's more of like the problem with it is necessarily execution. Is the way that they did this thing, is kind of the problem here.
Yeah, definitely. But that said, the movies, they're great movies. Tarantino always does great things. Name a bad Tarantino film.
I can't, because I love Tarantino.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my issue with it is you're such a great filmmaker, and these are great movies. I cannot stand them. So.
What? Yeah, this is your one. This is your one that, I can understand that.
It's like I have 2 or 3 Spielberg that I don't like, but there's some bad Spielberg movies. Let's face it.
Yeah.
So this is the one Tarantino thing that I cannot stand. I even like Death Proof over this. Thank you, Grindhouse.
So this next one that I'm going to bring up.
Okay.
This one is one that we saw in theaters together.
Okay.
I saw it before you. You were waiting on your now fiance to go see it.
Okay.
And I'm talking about Star Wars Episode 7. Now, this is a little bit interesting, is because I hated the gosh darn thing immediately.
I liked it.
Yeah, and you liked it when it came out. And it's still doing well, IMDb. And this is my one that actually I'm bringing up because it is one of the highest grossing films to have ever been made. And there's reasons behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's reasons because this was Star Wars.
It was Star Wars. It's the first one in, 10 years?
Yeah, it was the first one since the prequels, and everyone was excited because you have a great sci-fi director in J.J. Abrams coming in.
You have an okay sci-fi director in
I
J.J.
agree with you, but I'm talking about how he's perceived for the most part.
Yeah.
Especially as a filmmaker, he's got a lot of following. People like J.J. Abrams.
People go and see his work.
Yes, they do. And so, naturally, you have a cult classic, I'm not even really cult classic, but, it just a huge following of science fiction with a well-known science fiction director going to
being banked by Disney, the biggest company on the face of the earth.
Yeah, and after years of waiting through films that most people didn't like, you're now going and you're saying, oh, this is going to have a good, strong deal with it. I was excited when this film came out.
Yeah.
I was pumped when it came out.
As was everyone.
Everyone was super excited. And I was waiting, and I had a friend at the job that I was working at the time. He was like, hey, I'm going to go see it for a second time tonight. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I'd love to go. And so we went, and you know, I'm just sitting there like a giddy little kid with my mouth just wide open, teeth grinning, everything. Just like, here we go, Star Wars. And you see that big flash up there with Star Wars. And as it was going on, that smile just died little by little by little, and every little bit. And I have plenty of reasons why it did.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the biggest complaints I have about this film, and you can disagree with me if this makes it a Star Wars film or not, because I think when we saw it, you said it felt like a Star Wars film to you. I said it didn't feel like a Star Wars film to me because it was incredibly postmodern in the way that it was made.
Okay.
This is where me and you are going to have some conflicts in our discussion about this, I'm sure.
Oh, no. You gotta remember that I watched it in theaters once, and then I bought it on Blu-ray when Hastings went out of business, because I got it for like $2. I always go for the cheap movies. I don't care if I like the movie or not. I'm gonna buy it if it's cheap. I have a problem. But I liked the movie. I saw it for like super cheap. I'm gonna buy it, so I snatched it up. About 3-4 weeks later, I go to sit down to watch it, and I'm watching it, and I just absolutely hated every bit of it.
After you had that...
After I had the sit down, think about the movie, now I'm going back and I'm watching it, I'm like, wait, what was good about this again?
Yeah, it's one of those things when you sat in there and you put your nostalgia glasses on when you were going to the movie theater. You remember your parents taking you out of school to go see, you know, because they were big Star Wars fans too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember your parents taking you to go see Episode 3 or something like that. It's rejuvenating these childhood memories to Star Wars, that bond that you have with your parents because they are from that generation that grew up with it.
Yeah, and, well, it was also just, again, the nostalgia glasses, but it was also, when we saw it, we did see it opening weekend.
We did.
And so we were in a packed theater, completely filled with people who were excited to be there.
Yeah.
And they were just excited to see a new Star Wars movie. And so everyone there was cheering and clapping and laughing and, oh my god, Boba Fett.
It was a roll of
It wasn't
thunder
Boba Fett,
as
but
soon
you know
as
what I mean.
as soon as the title card came up. It was a roll of thunder in there of
As
just
soon
people
as
so happy.
Lucasfilm showed up.
Oh my gosh, yeah, there was so much jubilee in that one little space that I hadn't had a cinematic experience like from that kind of response at the beginning of a movie, and the only thing I could equate it to is the end of the movie of American Sniper when I told you like the whole theater was dead silent and emotional trauma.
Yeah.
So like that's the only thing I can really equate that to.
Yeah, for me, the only thing I could equate it to is probably going to see the last Harry Potter in theaters, because the audio, like I went and saw opening night, midnight showing. It was sold out.
Yeah,
it was a massive screen, and just everyone's there, and it's just like, yeah,
woo, yeah.
That's the closest thing I have. But no,
So I don't want this to turn into a Star Wars movie talk podcast.
No.
Neither one of us want that because we want to talk about things in a movie.
Other things.
So let me get back to what I was saying at the beginning, and then we can talk about it from a cinematic perspective. And we can talk a little bit about the story and things that we might have had beef with about. But like, the fact that this was shot so postmodern, and what I mean by that to people who don't know what I'm talking about, it was jump cutting, flashes. It was shot in a way that was completely contradictory in my eyes to the way that Lucas and the original trilogy were shot. And I understand that there is a gap of time there to where the way that movies have been made and the art flow of movies have changed from the classical and modern era all the way into the postmodern era where we are today. but that actually ejected me from the universe almost immediately to where I couldn't watch it as a Star Wars film anymore. And I honestly sat there, and because it's J.J. Abrams, I'm going to say this exact movie, it felt like I was watching the Star Trek reboot.
Yep.
Yeah, and to me, that messed my whole experience up.
See, for me, like, just watching the movie the first time, I was completely sucked in just because I'm a sucker for nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, even watching the movie, I was like, oh, look, this is fan service, this is fan service, this is fan service.
That was another problem I have. It was a marketing campaign almost to get people back to go see Star Wars.
Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
do you remember C-3PO? Oh, look, he's got a red arm now. We're going to make a joke about it. Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, no, it was nothing but fan service, the movie, in a way. And it was, and you even said that after we saw it. You said, like, there was a lot of fan service in this. I will concede that to you. And that's when we went back and forth about it. And
yep, and
it's one of those...
I've come around.
I think a lot of people have come around, which is why I'm not trying to harp too much on this. I think after the last Star Wars film that came out, not Solo, but
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi came out, a lot of people started coming around, seeing that difference, and they're like, this isn't the same movie that I remember as a kid, and it's starting to click with people.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I don't want to harp on too much because I don't want this to be a Star Wars podcast.
Yeah.
This is just one of those films. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those films for you.
Yep.
All right, so moving on to another film for me.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with this one. So, when you think of famous classic musicals, Grease is gonna be right up there on the top of the list, isn't it?
Well, actually, I'm actually a huge fan of of Guys and Dolls with Frank Sinatra and Marlon Brando.
Oh, that's also on my list.
It's also on your list.
Yeah, I hate both of those.
Okay, tell me why.
I'll go into Guys and Dolls instead of Grease. I'll come back to Grease.
You'll come back to Grease. Okay.
Guys and Dolls. I can't stand it.
Okay, what's wrong with this film? And I can share a little bit of a story that on the background on that.
So, Guys and Dolls for me is an okay. Like last night, you and I went and saw a production of Newsies locally.
Yes, it was the Kansas City premiere of it, actually.
Yes,
yeah.
it was a fantastic production of a musical that neither of us like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I feel about the movie. It is a musical that I do not like.
Okay.
I think the plot is kind of dumb. The whole, we're trying to save the souls of gamblers, and then we're gonna get the girl. If you get the girl, then you'll win this bet. And if, like, we save all these people, if, like, I win this bet, you all have to go to church. And so there's all of these different gambles going on, which is fun in, like, a screwball comedy kind of way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, then we have this whole story about Nathan and Adelaide, who I don't care about. We have this love story between Sky and the church lady that I don't care about. Marlon Brando can't sing. Frank Sinatra can sing, but he's not Scott. He's not. What's his character's name?
He's Nathan.
Nathan.
Yeah, he's Nathan Detroit.
He's not a good Nathan.
I was going to touch on that, actually.
I know Sinatra really wanted to be Sky.
Yeah, Sinatra severely wanted to be Sky in that movie, and he was really ticked about the whole thing. And Brando over there is like, I'm not that great of a singer. Why am I playing Sky Masterson and Nathan playing this? And you know what? Marlon Brando's a great actor. He's amazing. That is one of the most miscasted roles that he's ever been in.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Just because I'll say he did his best with Luck Be a Lady Tonight. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, he tried. And what's even more is, like, Frank ends up getting Luck Be a Lady Tonight on, like, some of his greatest hit CDs and stuff later.
Yeah, well, it's because he was so pissed about that, he made sure that that's known as his song.
His song, absolutely. And it's not.
But Guys and Dolls is... I don't like any part of the plot of the movie. I feel it as a movie just drags, and it just keeps going, and then there'll be a song that doesn't add anything to the plot. Like, If I Were a Bell does absolutely nothing.
to the plot of that movie.
Yeah, do you remember the song If I Were a Bell?
I do remember the song I Was a Bell, but I also performed the play in high school.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember a lot of things from this play or from this movie.
See, I feel like that's one of the reasons why you have strong connection to the movie versus...
And that's completely fair.
Yeah.
That is completely fair. Outside of this being a hit, in a lot of ways, not necessarily the movie, but the play is...
the play is...
Yeah.
Considered a classic.
It is considered a classic, but I do have strong connections to it from high school and things like that. Yeah. And it's one of those things where I can still put Guys and Dolls on, and I can still listen to it, and I'll sing it in the car.
Sure.
It's just one of those things I have a connection to.
Yeah, and the Fugue for the Tin Horns, I think, is a great song. It's a great theater song.
Yeah, building off what you're saying.
Yeah.
Runyonland, for instance, also at the beginning of it,
yeah.
I think is one of the best openings in Broadway because it's so fun and so energetic, and it gets you right into the story immediately of the hustle and bustle of New York.
Yeah, it gets you into the feel of the show.
Yeah.
And how the show, the feel of the world. I'm not saying that the music is not good. I just literally cannot stand watching that show.
Well, I'll continue to kind of stay in the same vein that you're talking about here of you don't like the music from Guys and Dolls. There is a movie that I'm going to bring up here, and I'm sure to lose some people who are listening right now off this because I'm going to bring up a Disney movie that I think is overrated, and a lot of critics actually agree with me on this, but I do know a lot of people like this movie a lot. I'm talking about Oliver.
Oliver and Company?
Yeah, Oliver and Company, the cat movie.
Okay.
That movie, it did not do well in the critics' view, but people do like that movie, and I think a big connection to that is Billy Joel.
Yeah,
Billy Joel
definitely
wrote a fantastic song with that movie.
Why should I worry?
And it's literally one of the songs.
Why should I care?
I've used that song in an audition before. Yeah, you were actually the accompanist for that. So.
Was I?
Yeah, you were. You didn't play that for me because you didn't have the music for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I just sang it a cappella.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was. That song is very prominent. It's very strong. Everyone knows that song from that movie.
Yeah.
That movie is not good.
No,
it's not good in the least bit. It's got a very weak plot surrounding about a horrible idea to kidnap a cat.
Yeah, well, it's the same.
I know it
has
Oliver.
The same problems as Oliver Twist.
It does. It has the exact same problems as Oliver Twist. But the difference in this is that, and don't get me wrong, I'm an animal lover. I have 2 dogs. But, we're talking about a cat versus a human child. And they're trying to use the same plot in the same vein with this horrible gangster boy, Sky. It doesn't work in the same capacity.
No, it doesn't.
And it's and I know this is a movie about adorable animals, and children love these animals. I love Dodger, don't get me wrong, but that's because Billy Joel.
Yeah, and it's also Bette Midler's song in there is also amazing.
Yeah,
her, what was it? Her where she's getting dressed and her as the female dog.
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. This is also what I'm getting about. Everybody knows the Billy Joel part, but there's
only those 2 songs that anyone knows.
Anyone knows, and like I said, it's still prominently that one song from that movie that it's still it just cowers over everything else in that movie to the point where Billy Joel put it on an album later.
Yeah,
and it's completely set. And when you put it at that works, that's Billy Joel. That's Billy Joel's style. That's Billy Joel's background. We're talking New York. We're talking playing the piano. We're talking about him fun in the 80s Billy Joel. It just doesn't, it's just attached to this Disney movie. And there's this relationship between the two that carries that movie to a lot of people saying that they like that movie, I feel like. But it's really just not that solid of a movie.
See, I like the movie. It's a fun Disney romp. Is it their best movie? No. But I do think that was the one that led into... That's the movie that led into Little Mermaid.
It led into the Disney Renaissance. It was important because it was a late 80s movie that led into hey, people were still kind of interested in this.
Hey, we had some music in this, and people seem to really respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do a full musical.
Yeah. So there is a level of respect in that. That is definitely important. It's definitely very, very, it's connected. And there's a history behind that musical.
Okay. Definitely. All right, so I'm gonna go back to Grease now, though.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no,
Yeah,
you're fine.
Yeah.
So going back to Grease, Grease is a great musical. Uh, everyone knows Grease. Everyone loves Grease. John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John riding off in a car that floats into space. Go Grease lightning, you're burning up the Gordon. So everyone knows it. It's a seminal teen movie. I saw it when I was 10. And no one should see that movie that young. It's definitely aimed at... It's a parody of teen movies that has become one of the seminal teen movies.
Yes, it is. Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. It's High School Musical before there was High School Musical.
Yeah, and then it's High School Musical done right.
Yeah, that's fair too.
But the thing is the music is great. There's some great songs in there, and I'm not going to deny the funness of the music. But that said, there's some very dark, plotted things in there that there are a lot of people who take that whole show as a means for, this is going to be a good teen movie, and this is appropriate for kids, and it's Grease, how raunchy can it be? It is so raunchy! And I love that fact. There's a lot of things about it that I love, but I also cannot stand it just because everyone's always like, oh my god, it's the greatest movie of the musical genre, like for a mass audience.
Yeah, you're right though. It is incredibly raunchy. You have characters that are, you have sex is a huge topic throughout that entire thing.
Yeah, the movie came out in the 70s, back when PG meant something.
Yeah, exactly. It was, the rating system actually had some character behind it.
Yeah.
And you're right, PG was actually a PG movie. Like, you did need parental guidance for this movie if you were of not a young age, but like, getting to that point, where this is appropriate for you, but like you're still gonna need your parents to kind of explain things a little bit to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right, it PG meant something back there. And like I said, sex is a huge topic in this. Relationships are a huge topic in this.
Abortion
is a topic in this.
Yeah.
In this. But I understand your point with that. Yeah.
Like, I think my biggest problem with the movie is that it has been declassified as to be something completely different than what it is. And people have latched onto it as like, oh look, this is a great example of how life was in the 50s. And I'm like,
no.
Sort of.
No.
It's probably more accurate than a lot of other things were. But at the same time, this is... Like, everyone's like, oh, look, it's Grease, it's harmless, it's PG, anyone can watch this, it's fine.
Wasn't Happy Days going on at the same time that Grease came out? I can't remember. Yeah. And I don't know how much influence the two had on each other, but if any. But yeah, I can see...
Anytime I look at someone who's, like, saying that, like, Grease is... one of those, like, family-friendly classic things, I just look at the lyrics of Grease Lightning.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And just go, really?
Yeah.
What are you smoking to make this family-friendly?
What are you talking about here? No, for sure. It's, I'm not going to call it a mess by any means. I'm not even going to really just tear into it that much. Yeah, I do think it's not bad by any means, and my fiance loves it. Loves Grease.
I don't deny anyone their love of the movie. It's a fun, classic movie, but people need to remember that it's not as family appropriate as people have come to think that it is.
Yeah. I think we have time for one more
each.
Yeah, one more each probably if we do them quick.
Yeah.
So one that one big talker here. I'm gonna skip one of them on my list just because I already talked about Star Wars and I don't want to get into this other huge fandom of one movie that I know that me and you are gonna have a huge talk about later. So I'll talk about this one.
Okay.
Avatar.
Okay.
This one is a blockbuster hit, destroyed the box office.
Yeah, it's the highest grossing movie of all time.
It's two blue aliens having sex, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's the entire movie.
It's Ferngully in space. Ferngully meets Pocahontas.
I'm not going to say that there's not a single creative idea going on here in this movie. However,
there is unobtainium.
this is a cookie cutter of someone taking Pocahontas and setting it in space, and I don't understand how this movie got so much traction. Other than it was visually stunning to look at in the trailer.
That was it. That was literally it. It was pretty. It is the movie that relaunched 3D movies.
Yeah, I do remember going to see it, having the 3D glasses on, and just having that wonderful world experience of 3D.
Yeah, no, it's that was literally it. It was the most stunning visually made movie of the time.
Yeah, and this movie's not that old.
It came out in 2009?
2011 or 2010, one or the other.
Okay.
2010. 2010. Oh, no, 2009. 2009, you're right. Yep. But it's not that old. It's less than 10 years old, and it feels like that movie was an eternity ago because I have literally buried it out of my brain to the point where I still have to remind myself of the director. I think it's James Cameron.
It's James Cameron.
It is James Cameron.
Yep, it's his latest movie since Titanic.
Yeah, which was another huge hit. That one's good, but could we? I guess I found another one that we could talk about.
It's not on my list.
It's not on your list. Okay.
But the thing is, I love Titanic. It is dumb. It is stupid, but I love it.
Oh, just never let go, Corey. But yeah, no, Avatar. That's all I'm gonna say about Avatar is that it's not. I don't get why it was so popular, other than its visual beauty that movie is, but it's all CGI, and it's basically a thrill ride at a park where you put your 3D glasses on, and you get a little bit of high movement experience and trying to get submerged into this different world. Outside of that, there's nothing really that creative about it.
Yeah, well, like I think everything visually is creative about it, and the world that they built and the amount of work that went into that movie is what makes it so amazingly done. And I don't know about you, but I'm super excited for Avatars 2 through 8 coming out over the next 10 years.
Hooray. This is one of those things, because it made money, it will continue to get some attention. Yeah. And so, like, I mean, Disney bought, like, part of their theme park for that,
they made
they're
entire theme park.
Making an Avatar
It's open
world.
now.
Yeah, it's there. So, I mean, there's attention being grabbed to this movie. Obviously, I don't know how the response will be, because, like, it's one of those things, like, I'm basing my everyone loved it off of the fact of the box office numbers.
I'm really curious as to how Avatar 2 is going to do.
Exactly.
I think it's scheduled for either next year or the year after.
I'll have to look that one up, but I've never really talked to anyone who's, like, excited to see Avatar 2. And like I said,
I'm very curious as to what they want to do with it.
Yeah, because
we won't know until trailers and the movie comes out.
Absolutely. So you have your final one here. If you want to go ahead.
Sure. I'm gonna go with a movie that critics hated it. Everyone I know generally seems to think it's an okay movie or better than it is.
And that one is
Master of Disguise with Dana Carvey.
Oh God.
I feel like you have opinions.
No, I don't. I don't really have any opinions. I try to steer clear of Happy Madison as much as possible.
That's fair.
It's not that, like, okay, when I say I try to steer clear of Happy Madison, I try to steer clear of probably around 2008, anything after 2008 Happy Madison. I know this one was before.
Like, this one was like 2004.
Yeah, this was like 2004, 2003. But Master of Disguise was one that, like, I even saw the trailer as a child and was not, had any, like, I gotta see this.
See, okay. My thing with this movie, this is literally just I have so many people who have been around me my entire life who say that this is one of their favorite movies ever made. Mm-hmm. That's why I put this on my list.
Okay.
I can't, like, when the movie came out, I was 13, 14, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So I was in the right age mentally for this movie. Mm-hmm. But it's, like, even watching it, I'm like, this is really dumb. It's Dana Carvey doing impressions of celebrities to be the master of disguise and he just runs around and does impressions of people that are way like that are too like the idea of the movie like it's I'm trying to find the right words for it.
Oh, okay. Well, while you're digging,
okay, so the impressions that he's doing are not appropriate for the audience of the movie. Like he's doing George W. Bush in a movie aimed at 8 to 10-year-olds. He's doing Al Pacino in Scarface for 8 to 10-year-olds. He's doing Brody in Jaws for 8 to 10-year-olds.
I'm seeing a theme here.
Yeah. It's he's doing impressions of characters that are like people might like the demographic might know who they are, but they don't know who they are. But the parents who took them to them will know who they are, and so I think it's trying to do a laugh for them.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, if you watch a lot of films, like Cars or a lot of Pixar stuff does that.
Yeah. Where it's, like, jokes aimed for the adults.
Yeah, to keep them entertained while they're watching a movie meant for the kids. Yeah.
But the difference is that Pixar does it well.
Pixar does it right. It takes a level of writing to sneak an adult joke, not necessarily even an adult joke, but a joke that adults will appreciate versus slapstick humor that a kid's gonna immediately just respond to. Yeah,
and like that's the difference in like for like a good kids movie and this one. Mm-hmm. This is just not a good movie in any sort of way. It's banking on celebrity cameos and stupid jokes. It's not good in the slightest, and I do not understand why I have people who like this in my life.
Okay, that's a fair enough, understanding of it. That one's not one that I've seen a ton of. Like I said, I didn't even have like a lot, even as a younger kid. Like, I gotta see this. It just was not one of those things. But that's gonna wrap up today's topic on that. We got a couple of things that we're still gonna talk about here. One of the first ones is me and Cory, as part of this podcast, we're gonna go see a movie by ourselves. Normally we do on our video podcast, we do we go see a movie together and we do a joint review on it. On this, we're going to do individual reviews. And the movie I went to go see here recently is Tag. This movie is getting some mixed reviews. It is actually considered rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's right there at the cusp of being fresh. It's got a 55% on it. Tag, I actually went to see, and I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, and actually on the IMDb score of it, audiences tend to agree with me. It's got around a 7 on there last I checked, so it's getting good response for a comedy, and especially in a time that comedies aren't really killing it anymore. Yeah,
no, comedies have just kind of been dead lately.
Yeah. This one's got Jeremy Renner, Ed Helms, and Isla Fisher are all in this film, and it's great. Also, a couple of guys that names that don't pop in my head. I think Charlie from
Charlie Day.
Yep, Charlie Day. And it's fun. This movie's got a really good cast. They all work together. You can honestly believe that this is a group of friends. Okay. So there's a lot of good connections going on there. Like I said, the whole thing works together. If you have not seen previews for this, which I don't know how you have, if you have not been into a movie theater lately, because that trailer is everywhere.
Like 2 months before it came out, it was in front of every single thing we went and saw.
Absolutely. It was that you could not escape it, but I did want to see it after seeing the trailer, and I thought it was pretty interesting. It is a movie about a group of friends who've been playing tag for years, and the premise is that one of their friends is getting married, and he's going to retire from the game of tag that they've been playing after the wedding, and that's going to be it. And he's, like I said, never been tagged, that he's the king. I will say that this movie is a great buddy comedy. There are a couple of lulls, which is why I can see some critics kind of going, it doesn't quite play, but with any comedy, you're going to have some hit and miss. There's a great twist at the end of this film. I'm not going to run it. So if you want to go see this film, I think it's still out in theaters for the most part, so you should definitely go see this film. Just at the minimum, form an opinion for yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, go see Tag, check it out for yourself. I'm going to give this one probably like 2.5 stars out of 4.
Okay.
Yeah. This is how we give
moderate review.
Yeah.
So, me personally, like, I haven't had a chance to go see anything lately. So, coming up, I'm gonna go see. There's a Fathom event coming up that is It's part of the Miyazaki Fest that's happening, or the Studio Ghibli Fest. I'm going to go see, coming up in about a week or so, Princess Mononoke is getting re-released in theaters. It's an animated classic. It's came out in like 97 or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's considered one of the movies considered Miyazaki's masterpieces.
Okay.
It's a story about a soldier who gets attacked and cursed by a demon or of like a forest spirit who's under like a horrible spell itself.
Okay.
And it's a kind of a combination of battle between technology and nature. And
so some interesting themes are going on.
Yeah,
in there.
set in feudal Japan, and it's gorgeous animation. Great cast for the American version. The subtitled version is outstanding as well.
Okay, when's it coming out?
It's coming out. The Miyazaki Studio Ghibli Fest is they're doing like one movie a month. This time it's going to be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. So let me look at my calendar. It's the 23rd through the 25th.
Is that going to be a Fathom event or
it's a Fathom event?
Okay, and they're doing a whole series on that. Actually,
yep.
yeah.
Then like next month is the seminal comedy Grave of the Fireflies, which is considered one of the hardest movies to watch on the face of the planet. You know, so I'm gonna go see that one too.
You know, I haven't seen a lot of his work. I know a lot of people love his work. So.
It's always wonderful to watch.
But one of the movies that you and Zeke got me into, I think it was Zeke who drugged me into this one. I think he borrowed your copy of the movie. Was Your Name.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, which is a great film,
yeah.
And I hadn't had much exposure to Japanese animation films.
Not Studio Ghibli, but still wonderful. It's the highest grossing anime film of all time.
Yeah, I was going to say, and this is going to be kind of in that same vein of that artistic style, not necessarily similar plot by any means, but it's going to be that kind of cultural experience, which is going to be unique.
Your Name was just fantastic in every way.
And then also, don't forget on our YouTube channel, you can still check us out, Lonesome Sunday on there. We're going to have reviews for The Purge and Uncle Drew.
Yay.
There's some surprises in there for sure. We're not going to kill too much on that, but
we have opinions.
We have opinions, and you might be surprised what we have to say. But yeah, we want to thank you guys for listening to us today.
We hope you enjoyed listening to us. Let us know what you think.
Definitely, yeah. Leave us any comments on our YouTube page, Twitter. We would absolutely love that. So yeah, please let us know what you think. If you got any movies that you just have some friends that just like they freaking love, but you can't stand it, please tell us. Tell us why, and maybe open our eyes to something that we haven't seen before. And we love watching things that we haven't seen. So yeah, definitely subscribe, tweet at us, whatever you want, and yeah. We can't wait to talk to you guys next time.
All right, we'll see you all next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.